Good day, Excellency.
Sir de Sardet, to what do I owe the pleasure?
How goes the conflict with the Bridge Alliance?
Your territory is, alas, the only one that has been spared from the ravages of war on the continent. We fight on every front. Without great success, one must say. But what other choice do we have? These so-called savants not only refuse the light, but are determined in their fight against it.
And on Tirfredi?
To my knowledge, no one has yet seen any serious fighting. The Bridge have succeeded in provoking the natives there, and have their hands full keeping them at bay. Which leaves us greater latitude to settle peacefully and pursue our mission of conversion.
How is Thélème faring on Tirfredi?
We built a marvelous city, San Mateus, on the western coast of the island. Did you know that certain historians believe that it might well have been the final resting place of our prophet? Our missionaries there are a multitude. Not a day passes without new islanders joining our sacred faith. Of course, there are certain pockets of resistance. There is talk of a demonic cult. Disgusting creatures. But I am confident that the Ordo Luminous will be able to put an end to these horrors. And we have tremendous hopes that the entire native population will join our ranks.
What's your point of view on the relations between our two nations?
As ambassador of Thélème, I can only rejoice at the mention of our commercial treaties. We appreciate as well the welcome that your uncle gave to our missionaries. Thanks to your support, more and more believers wander your lands. The congregation is our most precious ally. To be perfectly honest, we have only two complaints. That heresy is tolerated, and that your treaties with the Bridge Alliance are maintained.
Could you tell me anything about Thélème?
It would be a pleasure. As you already know, our glorious nation is guided by our faith. We follow the teachings of Mateus, our founder and greatest prophet. And give thanks each day to the Luminous for having gifted us magic. The high dignitaries of Thélème are at the same time our spiritual guides, advocates, and grand mages.
I've heard say that dissensions have appeared recently in your nation.
Ah, you must certainly be speaking about the debates that have divided the Ordo Luminous and the more political orders. The Lord Luminous has an extremely pure vision of our faith and applies the words of our saint very strictly. But other, more open-minded factions exist within our nation. They believe that a less rigid dialectic would attract souls more readily to our faith. But their differences are purely theoretical and do not threaten the cohesion of our nation, I assure you.
I must be going. Farewell, Excellency.
May the light guide you, de Sardet.
Sire, I'm sorry. I'm afraid that I won't make for good company.
Wish you a good day, Your Excellency.
Sir?
Constantine d'Orsay, future governor of Tir Freddy. I'm enchanted, Captain. I am eager to board your ship.
Enchanted as well, Your Highness. I hope you enjoy your voyage. Are you ready to leave?
Well, not quite. I still have a few errands to run for my uncle. What about you?
I'm still without news of my cabin boy, but we will have to do without.
I spoke with a woman who told me she was the mother of the cabin boy. She claims that her son was taken from her.
Taken? Her son is sea-gifted. His parents were required to give him up to honor the terms of a contract.
A contract? But what kind of contract are we speaking of?
A commercial contract. In exchange for services rendered by the Nords, some families cede more than gold. In some cases, nations even trade some of their subjects before they're born. I wouldn't be able to tell you the condition of Jonas's contract. I didn't even know he was originally from Serene. But what I can tell you is the young man hasn't seen his parents since he was a small child. And ever since, he's been a Nord. Our ships are his home. We are his only family.
Have you seen anyone wandering about? Suspicious looking. Maybe clandestine passengers.
Take a look around. There are far too many comings and goings to spot possible stowaways. As long as they don't try and get on my ship, I pay no attention to them. That said, we did catch ourselves a smuggler just a while ago.
A smuggler? Maybe he could be of some use. Where could I find him?
In the port jails, not far from the warehouses. May I ask you, why the sudden interest in smugglers and the odd stowaway?
A couple of heretics are planning on leaving Serene. The ambassador of Teleme has entrusted me with the job of capturing them.
Happy to see that you trust me enough to seek my counsel in the affair. Just so happens that I heard someone talking about the couple. The Cardinal's men are far from discreet. They were making quite some ruckus, asking to search our warehouses. We, of course, refused entry. Only the Nords have access. I'm sorry, Your Excellency, but I'm certain your potential stowaways aren't far. But we won't allow you to make a search to grab them. Not officially, at least.
What do you mean?
That discretion and malice are often more useful than titles and words.
Could you tell me a little about your guild?
We are masters of the oceans. Our ships can sail where no others dare.
Thanks to your magic, so I've heard. How do you become a Nord?
Our magic, yes, that only the Nords master. As for your question, any child born on one of our ships is sea-born. He is a Nord from birth. Others are sea-gifted, joining the Nords for different reasons, often from a young age. It's how the guild is made and maintains its numbers.
Could you tell me anything about our destination? The island of Tirfredi?
It is a magnificent place. Wild. Spared from your wars and your mines, for now. The natives have a relationship with their land, and consider it sacred. They're a very friendly people, welcoming. That will appear to you strangely familiar. I've also heard that there are a great many exotic creatures, some enormous. But I wouldn't know what else to tell you. I've never strayed far from the ports.
What do you think of our port?
Are you referring to this one? It is the biggest high seas port on the continent. Thanks to your prince, even though it remains part of your city, it holds a particular status for us Nords. Certain zones are owned completely by us, and maritime law holds office. It's a good port. Were it not for the Malachor, it would be a pleasant place to dock.
Be back soon, Captain.
You see anyone else who might be able to help us? Anyone who's not a Naut?
Oh, how I would like my father to be implicated in this sordid business. Our old teacher must surely know what's going on here. Let's go talk to him.
Your Highness, I'm happy to see you. Your absence this morning worried both your father and me.
Come now, Sir de Corsilion. My father may have been angry, outraged, or disappointed, but he's never worried about me. I am sad to have caused you any worry, though. Would you believe that I was rotting away in a sinister jail, guarded by thugs ready to kill me? Though still seeing double from last night's drink, I was preparing an ingenious escape plan when... ta-da! My dear cousin jumped up out of nowhere and saved me. I'm quite the fairy tale damsel in distress.
You might have refrained from the company of bandits the night before such an important departure.
Take away the risk and halve the pleasure, de Corsilion. It is the salt of life.
I fear that some of my teachings have been misunderstood. But you wanted to ask me something, de Sade?
I've had a word with Lady Fontaine. You must know her. That rich family that lives near the docks. She told me a strange story about her son who was a cabin boy on our ship. She said that he was taken when he was a child due to some contract with the Nords.
Who was a cabin boy? Do you mean he's no longer one?
They took him back to bring him home.
Well, that is very unpleasant news, de Sade. We need to do all we can to bring the boy back to his ship. Since time immemorial, there's always been a certain price to pay for the services of the Nords. Children born on their ships belong to them. It's the rule of the sea. But certain contracts are so important that they also require children to be offered in exchange. From time to time, the congregation has passed such accord, and certain noble families had to give their children up.
Are you telling me that the Fontaines lost their son because of some agreement signed between my uncle and the Nords?
No. That pact ended a long time ago. This cabin boy couldn't have been a part of that contract. But Sir Fontaine has made a fortune trading with the Alliance, via ships.
Do you mean he would have offered up his own son in exchange for wealth?
Well, he probably did it before the birth of the child, and regretted it afterwards. But that is of little importance. What counts most is that you bring the boy back to the Nords as quickly as possible. Breaking a contract with the seafarers has always cost us dearly. our nation could feel it in its coffers.
I will do my best.
A father selling his own son for a few boat rides. For ugly, that is ugly.
Lady Fontaine didn't seem to have any knowledge of that detail. That could be of use to us. Excuse me, madam, but I haven't quite finished my inquiry yet.
If you would be so courteous, I would like you to leave. I have told you all that I have to say.
Come on now, stop lying. Jonas was taken away by force against his will by armed men.
That is not true. Completely false. He...
Enough! With every word, you are a step closer to a prison cell.
Prison? But what would be the charges?
Kidnapping. Whether Jonas is your son or not, he is a naught that you kidnapped and locked up. In the eyes of the prince, you have committed a crime that puts the interests of the congregation at great risk.
I beg of you, Your Excellency. Have mercy on a poor mother who is looking only to recover her child. We didn't kidnap our own son. And if you need to speak with him to be convinced, please do. He's in our warehouse, near the Coin Guard Plaza, next to the canal. I am certain that once you have heard his account, you will see the tragedy in our predicament and help us.
I regret threatening that woman.
You didn't have a choice. She was lying, and we need to find that boy. Here we are. Be careful. Fontaine won't be alone. He'll have his henchmen with him.
A handful of underlings don't scare us away. Right, cousin?
Let's just try to remain discreet.
Sir de Sade, what are you doing here?
I've come looking for your son. The Naughts are worried about his disappearance.
Those Naughts took him from us, but now we've got him back, and he'll be staying with us.
Would you be so kind as to hear what I have to say, Sir Fontaine? I looked into the contract that binds you to the Naughts. It was indeed you who ceded your son to them in exchange for help with your business with the bridge.
It is so. But that sort of contract is ignoble. I never would have signed it if I had known.
You should have thought of that before. Breaking the contract could have regrettable consequences for the congregation.
The prince will know how to negotiate with the Naughts. If they take my son back, my wife will die of sadness.
Her sadness would be all the more terrible if she learned of your role in the story, don't you think?
You wouldn't dare tell her. I beg you.
You're not leaving me with a choice.
Very well. Take the key and take him away. Cursed be the day I delivered my son unto the Naughts.
All children leave the nest one day or another, sir. Farewell.
So it's here that our man keeps his son. Abusive fathers.
Locked.
Who are you?
My name is de Sardet. I am legate of the congregation. Your captain has sent me to find you.
And were you able to convince my father to allow me to go free?
Yes. Even if I had to bend his arm a little.
That doesn't surprise me. He seemed to have no intention of changing his mind. I feel more sorry for my mother. She seemed so sweet and happy to see me.
You don't seem to be all that close to your parents.
I hadn't seen them since I was 5 years old. I barely remember them. They find me, capture me, and lock me up in this warehouse. Hard to grow close after all that. My family is the Naughts. I am sorry for my parents, but that is the way of it now. Can I go home?
Yes. You should still go and say farewell to your mother. Then find your way to the ship. I'll see you there. It's not possible just now.